Here's another round of Mr. Orth's Flipped Classroom for Grammar. Today, subjects and unusual positions in a sentence. Some definitions. An inverted sentence is where all are part of the predicate, usually the verb or object of the verb, precedes the subject. It comes first. Here are their sentences. Here is, there are. It's actually a type of inverted sentence and what we talked about in this lesson. Questions. As we talked about last lesson in terms of interrogative sentences, they're inverted. Usually it's after the verb or between the helping verb and the main verb in a question sentence. And imperative sentences, well, can't get much more unusual than a simple subject not actually being written in the sentence with you understood. One reason why we always say to find the verb first instead of finding a simple subject is because there's times where the simple subject isn't easy to find. Typically, most sentences only have one verb or verb phrase, whereas if we're trying to find simple subject, there can be several nouns in a sentence. There's 5 different ways to use a noun or pronoun in a sentence, whereas there's typically only going to be a verb or the verb used as a describing word, which we'll talk about later on. Identify a simple subject. Remember, it's never here or there, and it's never going to be interrogative pronouns. If the question is, where is your book? Where is not the simple subject. The verb is still going to be is, the linking verb, but the simple subject, what the sentence is about, is going to be the book. The book is where. If you can't find a simple subject at all, there's a chance that it may not be in a sentence, especially if the first word in a sentence follows a comma after an introductory word like please or someone's name, or if the first word is directly a verb. Odds are pretty good in those cases. We're looking at an imperative sentence and the subject is actually going to be you understood. Simple trick, if a sentence is inverted, if it's turned around at all, rewrite it. So it's a declarative sentence where you have the subject, then all parts of the verb or verb phrase, followed by everything else in a sentence, also called subject-verb-object pattern. First example, are you planning to attend the dance? Well, it's a question, rewrite it. You have a helping verb are, main verb planning, and simple subject you. You are planning to attend the dance. Subject, verb, everything else. So you have simple subject you, are planning is the verb phrase. Next example. Down came the savage storm on the Spanish galleon. So, first of all, you might be realizing you have a vocab question here, like you may not be sure what a galleon is. Well, it's something you might even have to look up, even in terms of a grammar lesson, just to make sure you know what the word is. If you don't know what it means, you may not know whether it's a noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition. You don't know because you don't understand the word at all. In this case, a galleon is a kind of ship. So we're looking for the verb. Don't worry about everything else. We're looking for the verb. The verb here is going to be came. And once we find that, everything else starts to revolve around it. So the verb is first. Down is not the name of a person or place. It's an adverb. It's a describing word. It describes how it came or where it came. So the question is, what came down? The savage storm came down. On what? On the Spanish galleon. So a sentence literally reads, the savage storm came down on the Spanish galleon. Undoubtedly, some people watching this right now are thinking, well, why didn't they just say that in the first place? It's a fair question. The answer is that sometimes we need to write our sentences differently in order to make them sound more interesting or unique to our audience. And therefore, it's more helpful for them to be engaged while they read. If every sentence sounds the same, even if you have strong word choice, and if you have descriptive details or facts, sometimes the writing starts to seem a little dry or repetitive. By inverting sentences from time to time, you make the writing more interesting to the reader. But when you need to make changes, there are times where it becomes confusing. Back to the example. Our verb again is came. Who or what came? The savage storm. You had to pick one of those words, the or savage or storm. Storm would be the simple subject. This is one where you're probably going to need to do several of them and then ask your teacher for feedback to see if you're on the right track. Don't try to do them all at once. Do a few and see which ones you get stuck on. Not a bad idea to put question marks next to the practice items that you want to make sure you ask about, whether asking to see if you did them correctly or saying, I got this far. I found the verb, but I wasn't sure what the simple subject. Take your time, ask for help, and good hunting.